Very bad for NATO. That's the phrase from the US President Donald Trump as he piles pressure on allies to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. Many of those allies, for now though, including France, pledging to keep their missions in the region away to ensure they remain defensive. Today, major economic powers are beginning as well to release oil reserves to ward off supply disruptions. Oil prices are hovering again around $100 a month as prices have surged overall by 40 to 50% as the war has entered its third week.
Demanding that these countries come in and protect their own territory because it is their territory. It's a place from which they get their energy, and they should come and they should help us protect it. You could make the case that maybe we shouldn't even be there at all because we don't need it. We have a lot of oil.
Well, Oliver Farry from our International Affairs Desk is joining me now here on set. Oliver, US President calling for US's allies to send warships to help secure the Strait of Hormuz. The response lukewarm at best, really.
Yeah, it doesn't help that Donald Trump made this call not directly to his allies, but in an interview with the Financial Times. And even Trump in that interview was not terribly optimistic that Washington's allies would join the US in the Strait. But he did raise the spectre of, as you said, there being a very bad future for NATO if other countries did not help. Now, among the countries that Trump is calling on include the UK, France, Japan and Australia. They're in a bit of a tricky situation. While privately their impulse would be to think, why should we help Trump get out of the mess that he has got himself into through an unforced error? They also know, as Trump himself knows, that they're quite dependent on flows of energy from the Persian Gulf. And they're also going to be very wary of upsetting Trump. You know, he's quite an easy man to upset. Japan and Australia have both said that they have no plans for now of sending warships to the Strait of Hormuz. But they also said, of course, that they haven't actually received any official requests, but they're still choosing their words carefully. Now, the biggest fear for all these countries is the obvious one, that they're worried about attacks on their navies and a potential loss of life. And remember that this war, even in the United States, is a very unpopular one. So any foreign leader or leader from a third country who decides to get involved and potentially risk the lives of their own citizens, that could be electoral suicide for them if they were to do so. So Donald Trump obviously feels that he can absorb military losses back home, though that possibly might be tested in the months to come as well. But that's not a luxury that other leaders have. Trump, incidentally, also suggested that China should help as well. And he also indicated that he might cancel his trip to Beijing later this month, where he's supposed to meet President Xi Jinping. Now, Beijing might be a little bit bemused at this offer, particularly given that Iran has offered safe passage to Chinese vessels if that all transactions for the oil are carried out in yuans. And interestingly enough, AP reported last week that a number of ships passing through the Strait of Hormuz have fraudulently identified themselves as Chinese in order not to be attacked.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later on, in fact, with Yana Lee in Beijing. Oliver, Donald Trump also talked for the weekend about Iran, saying that Iran wants a ceasefire. Iran's rejected that. Where might the truth lie here, I suppose?
Well, it looks increasingly likely that there will be no military victory on either side. Despite all the claims by the US president that the Iranian regime is being hit hard, they're still able to riposte in an asymmetrical way, and there's no sign of the regime collapsing. Israel says it still has thousands of targets in Iran, but while this is inflicting a lot of pain on the Islamic Republic and, of course, on the Iranian people too, it's not shifting the dial on regime change, and Tehran knows that it has the crucial leverage in the form of its attacks on US allies in the Gulf and its threats on shipping in the Strait of Hormuz. Now, the US says that the war will probably be over within 3 to 4 weeks, but they've been saying that for about 2 weeks already. And it might be true, but another question is how exactly this war ends. Tehran says it has not sought a ceasefire. It probably thinks it can dig in for a little while longer, just wait while for the expense for both the US and Israel of the continuous bombings to accumulate, and also most notably for the ammunition stockpiles to decline, which have been doing so ever since the first week of the war. So it will be a matter of who blinks first. And in the weeks to come, we probably will get a ceasefire being negotiated. Each side will, in their own way, claim victory, but for each, it will be a hugely